to talk to you about something that affects every woman, but often gets overlooked. The silent signals our liver sends when it's struggling. These subtle warning signs are the whispers from our body's most hardworking organ, trying to tell us something's not quite right. If you're experiencing unexplained fatigue, mysterious weight changes, or just feeling off lately, your liver might be sending you an SOS. In this video, I'll reveal the most common warning signs of liver damage that women often dismiss and share practical steps to support your liver health naturally. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? On this channel, I'm here to help you reverse the effects of chronic stress so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom-free, so that you can put an end to common midlife symptoms like chronic fatigue, insomnia, mood swings, issues with gut health, and even weight gain. Let's get started by talking about how the liver works. And generally, the liver performs over 500 different functions, making it one of our body's hardest working organs. It filters blood, processes nutrients, and removes harmful substances to the best of its ability. The liver receives blood from two sources, the hepatic artery bringing oxygen-rich blood, and the portal vein, and that delivers nutrient-rich blood from our digestive system. So the liver actually filters more than 22 gallons of blood every hour. It stores about a pint of blood at any given point in time. The liver helps the body break down all of these nutrients and convert them into energy that your body can use. And in the process, it removes as many harmful substances from your bloodstream as it can. The liver produces bile, that's a special fluid that helps with fat digestion, and the bile also helps to remove some waste products. These actually get eliminated through your bowel movements. I will say that if you are one of the people who has had their gallbladder removed, your gallbladder actually does the really heavy lifting with bile creation. And so if you've had your gallbladder removed, don't put the whole burden on your liver to create the bile. You'll want to supplement with bile salts, and we typically recommend using high quality ox bile to do that. I will say that I don't typically recommend taking any sort of supplement long term, but in this particular case, if you're missing an organ, supporting your body to do whatever that function was, absolutely may be necessary and necessary long term. So the liver also orchestrates three primary metabolic pathways. With fat metabolism, liver cells process fats for energy production and generate 800 to 1,000 milliliters of bile every day. This aids with fat digestion and absorption in the small intestine. It also helps with carbohydrate regulation, so it helps to maintain blood glucose homeostasis by storing excess sugar as glycogen and releasing it when blood sugar levels drop. So this is what happens when we're fasting and we want to trigger our body to use fat for fuel. When those glycogen stores in our liver drop, we go through kind of an uncomfortable period where the liver says, I got nothing else here. And then it has to like flip a switch and go get stored fat. And for those of us who are carrying a few extra pounds of stored fat, we want that process to kick in. It can just be a little uncomfortable as it's happening. The other thing the liver helps with is protein processing, and it transforms amino acids into energy, carbohydrates, or fats, while at the same time converting toxic ammonia into urea for safe excretion through urine. So, what are some signs of liver damage that we may be not noticing? Because liver damage often progresses silently. The symptoms become more apparent as the condition worsens, but sometimes it's too late. Early detection is crucial for better outcomes because the liver can repair itself if the damage is caught early enough. A cautionary tale: one of my very good friends actually had to have a liver transplant because she found out that she had had a tainted blood transfusion many years prior, and a virus was attacking her liver for years and years, and it wasn't until the symptoms escalated to essentially a dire level that she even discovered there was a problem. And at that point it was too late. They said the damage was not reparable, and she ended up having to have a liver transplant. And I can assure you that you do not want an organ transplant if you can avoid it. So some of the initial symptoms that you may experience when your liver's getting a little sluggish are persistent fatigue and weakness, loss of appetite, and unexplained weight loss, mild pain or discomfort in the upper right abdomen. So if it's the lower right abdomen, that's your appendix, but the upper right abdomen is where your liver sits. So as symptoms progress, you'll see a yellowing of the skin and eyes. This is known as jaundice. You might also see spider-like blood vessels on the skin above the waist. And then typically the urine will become darker as your liver is struggling to be able to excrete the toxicity. You might also have pale colored stools because the fat absorption is not working properly. And lastly, you may find that you bruise easily or have excessive bleeding. These are all signs of issues with your liver. If you've got swelling of the abdomen, particularly in the area where your liver resides, this is getting to the point where things may be becoming critical. You may also find that you're feeling confused or seeing personality changes. The abdominal swelling will continue to worsen, and you may even find that you're vomiting blood. This is what happened with my friend. It wasn't until this point that she really realized there was something going on. You could even be experiencing mental disorientation. Anytime you've got some organ failing, then mental disorientation would not be unheard of. So what do we refer to liver disease as? And most commonly, you'll hear that referred to as fatty liver disease. And so someone who is an alcoholic may have what's known as alcoholic fatty liver disease. But what we're going to talk about here is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This is not related to consuming too much alcohol. It's typically known as NAFLD. It's a chronic liver condition characterized by excessive fat accumulation in the liver. So if your liver has accumulated greater than 5% of its weight as fat, it's considered a fatty liver. This condition particularly affects women differently across their lifespan. The risk patterns emerge based on hormonal and metabolic factors. So some of the hormonal factors include estrogen deficiency. Remember, our liver is helping to process everything that comes in, and so even if you are consuming, like taking oral estrogen, if your liver is compromised, it will not be processing properly. And so just supplementing will not necessarily help if you've got an issue with a critical organ like your liver. So estrogen deficiency during menopause increases lipogenesis and fatty acid oxidation. Some of the metabolic factors include obesity and especially what's known as central adiposity, or what we think of as belly fat accumulation. It could also lead to type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that it can contribute to high blood pressure or abnormal cholesterol levels. And this is in great part because the fats are not being managed properly. So some of the risk factors specific to women, especially over age 50, these hormonal balances and the body fat distribution patterns, this actually points directly to issues metabolizing fats, and that points to your liver needing some extra support. And that typically means that you need to reduce the toxicity. This toxicity that is accumulating in your body is causing additional stress, and fat accumulation is just one of the signs that your body's having a difficult time managing that stress. This is just an example of one of the countless ways stress creates symptoms and other health issues, especially during midlife. I created a video that shows you how to eliminate symptoms that often accompany midlife naturally. So I'll make sure to link to it below this video, but make sure you hit subscribe too, because I share a lot of tips when it comes to dealing with stress that's become toxic. Relieving the nasty symptoms stress creates makes navigating through menopause a breeze. So what kinds of natural treatments can we use to support liver detoxification? There was some research done that refers to an approach that is gentle enough not to overwhelm the body and put more stress on an already stressed out organ. I will say that if you've got something really severe going on and you need to do a more aggressive detox, you definitely need to have professional help for that. But I'm going to talk here about some things you can use that are really gentle and all natural and shouldn't create a problem unless you've got some other really serious disease that you're trying to manage. So focusing on supporting the liver's innate cleansing abilities is really where you want to end up. The liver is designed to regenerate, to heal itself. And if we have not let things go too far, then that will happen as long as we just free up some resources and give it a little breathing room. So here's what research reveals about some of the natural liver detox methods. First of all, I always recommend a nutrient-dense, high-quality diet. In this particular case, we're going to want to make sure that we're leaning into leafy greens and antioxidant-rich fruits like berries, grapes, and citrus fruits. Fatty fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids will really help to reduce inflammation and help to bring your fatty acids into balance. They tend to get out of balance because we consume too much of the bad fats. Cruciferous vegetables can also be helpful. That's broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. And then I've got some other videos on my channel, one in particular about using milk thistle. Milk thistle is really helpful to detox your liver. It contains silymarin. You may also use turmeric or dandelion root. Some of the other things to really keep in mind are flushing your digestive system, which includes your liver and kidneys. And we want to be taking in at least 100 ounces of high quality water. I use a reverse osmosis system, 3-stage reverse osmosis system to filter my water. Just know that water coming out of the tap is not quality enough. If you can't put in a filtered water system, then you need to be purchasing spring water, and you want to make sure you're getting a high quality spring water that is in a BPA-free container. Green tea can be really helpful, has a lot of antioxidants in it, and even coffee in moderation. If you're one of those people who just loves your morning cup of coffee, then enjoy that, and that is helpful for your overall detoxification processes. Some of the additional things to keep in mind is that you want to make sure you're purchasing organic produce. And it's really important that when you know you've got a toxic buildup, that you do an even better job of managing the toxicity. You also want to consume a lot of fiber-rich foods to really stimulate your digestive system, and limit processed foods and excessive fats. Your body's already struggling to manage the fats if your liver is compromised. Refined sugars, it's not going to do you any good to be consuming refined sugars, and that doesn't matter if your liver is compromised or not. These evidence-based herbal treatments are really effective to reverse liver disease. One of the other things that's really highly recommended is using regular exercise to improve circulation and liver function. And so you want to make sure that you are giving your body the movement that it needs to create that kinetic energy that keeps everything moving and stimulates the repair process. Just another quick reminder, 8 to 10 glasses of water daily. I usually recommend 100 ounces of high quality water. Elimination of processed foods, especially processed foods that are in containers that may even be lined with chemicals, making more of a challenge for your liver. And then consuming excess alcohol. If you're one of those people who likes a glass of red wine occasionally, that isn't going to hurt you, but any kind of excess alcohol consumption is putting extra stress on your system. And if you know that you've got an already stressed liver, then any alcohol consumption really isn't doing you any favors. The most important thing, though, for you to really do is manage your stress. And anything here that I have talked about will help to bring down the toxic stressors, but you also want to be managing the other type of stressors, even just the emotional stressors in your life. When your stress levels increase, your immune system is taken offline. This allows inflammation to accumulate, and this is where dis-ease begins to escalate to disease. So how do you take care of your liver daily? So some of the things I recommend that you do daily or weekly to take care of your liver on an ongoing basis are fasting, and we particularly want to use an 18-6 fasting alternative, which is basically a 6-hour eating window, because it's thought that autophagy really doesn't kick in until about 17 or 18 hours. And we want to make sure that we are getting some autophagy working in our body to help to clear out the debris, the damaged cells, and that sort of thing. Fasting can be extremely helpful. You may want to even use a day or two every week where you only eat one meal a day, or potentially even if you know you've got a problem here and you're trying to jumpstart the fat metabolism, even using alternative day fasting, maybe one time a week or a couple times a month, can be really helpful. That would mean that you didn't eat at all for an entire day. And if you can eat one meal the day before the fasting day, go an entire day of fasting, and eat one meal the day after the fast, you'll get a really extended period of time of fasting without having to go without any food at all more than one day. So that can be like an easy kind of hack to get the process started. We've already talked about reducing toxicity, any kind of toxicity you have control over, and these show up in countless ways in our world. And so you want to make sure that you're monitoring where your toxicity is building from. And then the way I recommend that you reduce toxicity is with my human energy system reboot. And this basically gives your body a week to kind of take a breath and jumpstart the healing process. And so if you're looking for a link to join me and try my human energy system reboot, you'll find that somewhere around this video. And if your best efforts to live a healthy lifestyle and do all the things you've been led to think are supposed to work aren't getting the job done, you may even be feeling like you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. In my next video, I'll show you how to manage the toxic stress that's sabotaging your efforts. You can eliminate the symptoms that seem to be piling up in midlife naturally without medication, crazy diets, intense exercise, or any other unsustainable lifestyle hack.